that is in fact the case, that the instructions that provide both the law, the charging language of the indictment, and other things will be provided to you in copies there. So don't worry that you need to get all that down in notes during the course of the trial. So with that in mind, then, I believe the state will have its first witness ready to call after the mid-morning break. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Okay, and who will be conducting the first examination of the witness?
That will be Rob Wood.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that in mind, then, let's go ahead and take our mid-morning recess.
President, number 4, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Wood, the state can call its first witness.
Thank you. The state calls Kay Woodcock.
All right, Ms. Woodcock, if you'd please come forward, and I'll have you pause out here when you get to the middle and raise your right hand. All right, if you'd please pause there for a moment, raise your right hand, and I'll have you placed under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay, you can be seated in the witness box up here. All right, counsel, before you inquire, just to make clear, we are making a stenographic record of the proceedings. Please answer questions verbally with a yes or a no instead of gestures. Try not to talk at the same time as anyone asking you a question. And with that in mind, Mr. Wood, you may inquire.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the court and spell out your last name?
Ethel Kathleen Vallow Woodcock. I go by Kay. Last name is Woodcock.
Thank you. Ms. Woodcock, where do you reside?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Okay, how long have you lived there?
All my life, pretty much.
All right. Ms. Woodcock, do you have any children?
Yes.
How many do you have?
2.
Okay. Have either of those children ever had a child they were unable to care for?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you about that. Which of those children had this child they couldn't care for?
My son, Dennis Todd Trahan.
And what was the
Maybe I need to move closer to it.
I don't know if that microphone's
It's not mobile.
I'm wondering if it's working. Okay, it is picking up a signal, so
Okay.
if you could just try to, I guess, speak right into it, and hopefully
Yeah.
it can pick you up
Okay.
on audio. Thank you.
Counsel, if you could re-ask your last question.
Okay. What was the name of the child who had a child they couldn't care for?
Dennis Todd Trahan.
Tell me about that situation. What occurred?
He and his girlfriend, Mandy Leger, had issues, and she got pregnant. They couldn't take care of Canaan,
JJ. He was born, when he was born with drugs in his system.
Okay. When was this child born?
May 25th, 2012.
Okay. And what was the child's name?
Kanan Todd Trahan.
Thank you. Now, you stated he had drugs in his system. Were there any other complications?
He was born at 30 weeks. That's 10 weeks premature. He had a myriad of issues. I can't, I'm not a doctor. I can't explain all of them, but he was in neonatal ICU for 7 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks.
Okay. After he left the hospital, where did he live?
He came home with myself and my husband, Larry.
Okay. And can you state Larry's name for the record?
Larry James Woodcock.
Okay. And why did he come home with you?
The state took custody of Kanan when he was born because of the drugs in his system. And we were deemed as his caregivers until they gave Todd and Mandy a chance to work out their plan, that they help them try and become, independent. The state gave them to us.
Were Todd and Mandy ever able to regain custody of Kanan?
No.
Okay. How long did you have Kanan?
We got him in early July of 2012, and Charles and Lori got him in mid-February of 2013.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. Who is Charles?
My brother,
What is his full name?
Leland Charles Anthony Vallow,
Okay. And who is Lori?
his wife,
Okay. And what was her name?
Lori.
Full name.
Well, when I knew her, it was Lori Ryan, so Lori Ryan Vallow.
Okay. Is Lori Vallow in this courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you point to where she's sitting and describe what she's wearing for the court?
She's sitting there at the defendant's table, I guess in a black jacket.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would ask the court to take notice that the defendant has been identified.
It's so noted in the record.
So let's go back. You stated that you had Kanan until around February of 2013.
Yes.
And I believe you stated that Charles and Lori took Kanan at that point.
Yes.
Why did they take Kanan?
They were granted legal custody.
Okay. Did you ask them to take custody of Kanan?
No, actually it was Charles and Lori approached us, and Larry and I were going to be given the option to adopt him first before anyone, and then Charles and Lori approached us saying that they would love to adopt him if, he was talked very gingerly about it because it was a very sensitive subject. And I was like, look, we'll think about it, but, we just have to think about this. That's a big decision. And,
Okay. In the end, did Charles and Lori adopt Kanan?
yes.
And why did you allow that to happen?
They seemed, well, number one, Charles wanted, I need to back this up with that other question, if I may. They wanted to have a child of their own. He had 2 kids, she had 2 kids. They wanted to have a child together. Anyway, I'm sorry, ask your question again.
Why did you allow Charles and Lori to adopt Kanan?
They had a much different lifestyle than Larry and I did. All we did was work and go home. They were a busy lifestyle. They were very family oriented. You know, Lori was active in the community. Charles was active. They were very active in the church. She just seemed to be the kind of mom that every mom wants to be.
Okay. And so did that adoption take place?
Yes.
Okay. When Canaan was adopted, did he move from Lake Charles, Louisiana?
Yes.
Where did he go?
They moved to Chandler, Arizona,
Okay.
where they were living. Yeah.
And is that in Maricopa County?
Yes.
Okay. When Canaan was adopted, did his name change?
Yes.
Do you know what his name was changed to?
Joshua Jackson Vallow.
Okay. And did Joshua go by a nickname?
JJ.
Okay. So, just for clarity's sake, I'll refer to him as JJ from here on out.
Okay.
Did you and Larry Woodcock maintain a relationship with JJ after he was adopted?
Yes, actually, that was a condition of the adoption, was that we had to maintain access to him and maintain our grandparent role, which they were very glad. They were good with that, Charles and Lori.
Okay. And so JJ was living in Chandler, Arizona, and you were in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Yes.
How often did you see JJ?
Every chance we could.
Okay, and how often was that?
We flew out there I know when they left with him in February of 13, we were out there less than a month later because we were having a very hard time detaching from him. You know, we missed him really badly. But then anytime, it averaged about every 3 months when they were in Arizona that we were able to go visit.
Okay. After they adopted JJ, did Lori and Charles ever move from Arizona?
Yes, they moved to Hawaii.
Okay, where in Hawaii did they move?
Princeville,
Okay, do you know what island that's on?
Hawaii.
Okay. Once they moved to Hawaii, were you able to maintain contact with JJ?
Yes.
Approximately how often would you maintain contact with JJ?
Since Hawaii was a much bigger flight, a much longer flight to get to, so yes, I went, averaged out every 5 to 6 months, and I would stay, or if Larry was with me, we would stay like at least a week and maybe 10 days, a week to 10 days.
Okay. Did you have any other type of contact with JJ? Through phones or digital contact?
Oh, when he learned to FaceTime, yes, he FaceTimed us all the time.
Okay.
And the phone too. He would call us all the time.
All right. What was your relationship like with Charles and Lori?
It was good. I mean, Charles and I were very close. He was my brother, and we always got along. We were very close. And Lori, she was just a doll. We were good friends. We talked, all the time. I mean, we didn't make a lot of phone calls between each other, but when we saw each other, it was very, it was like we had missed a day of not talking.
Okay. Did you ever spend time with other members of her family?
Yes.
Okay. Did Lori have any other children?
Yes.
Do you recall who they were?
Yes. Colby Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
Okay. Who was oldest?
Colby.
Okay. Did you ever meet other members of Lori's family?
Yes, there were some birthday parties and things, maybe 4th of July stuff, but yes, I did.
Who do you recall meeting?
Her parents, Barry and Janice Cox. She had a brother, Alex Cox, and her other brother, Adam Cox.
Okay. Anybody else in the family you recall meeting?
Not that I recall.
Okay. You mentioned Alex Cox. Do you know approximately how many times you met Alex Cox?
A handful of times, maybe. Sometimes he would stay with them, and so I would see him when I went to visit.
Okay. To your knowledge, is Alex Cox living or deceased?
Deceased
Do you know approximately when that happened?
December 12th, 2019.
Okay. Did Charles and Lori ever move back from Hawaii?
Yes.
When was that?
It was around Christmas or New Year's of 2016.
Okay. And did you maintain a visit? Did you continue to visit JJ in Arizona when they moved back?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you ever see Tylee at the home?
We did. Excuse me. Yes, she was around there. She was being her good little sister self to JJ. She would often go to her grandparents while we were there. I don't know why that was, and as she got older, she was busy with her friends and stuff. But absolutely, we spent time together.
Okay. What did you observe in the relationship between Lori and JJ?
I witnessed, she was a doting mom. She was very engaged. She was, I know one time when we went, he was probably a year old, she had a photo album and she had pictures in it, and she had pictures of me and Larry and other people, and she was reinforcing that we were his grandparents. She would point to him and say, "That's Mama," and point to the next picture, "That's Pawpaw." And she was a good mom for everything I could see.
Okay. What did you observe in the relationship between Charles and JJ?
Charles was hands-on. He was engaged. He took a lot of... when Charles was traveling for business, Lori had him all to herself, but when Charles got home from his businesses, he had JJ all the time.
Okay. I'm going to talk to you about the year 2019. Do you recall the first time you saw JJ in 2019?
It was right around the 1st of February
Okay. Where was that?
in Chandler, or in the Phoenix area, one of the Maricopa County.
Okay. So is Chandler in the Phoenix, the general Phoenix area?
It's a suburb, yes.
Okay. Do you recall how long you stayed there?
That time was about probably 2 weeks.
Okay. Was there a specific reason you had come out to visit that time?
Yes, Charles reached out that he and Lori had split up, that she was gone, and he was totally very distraught. So I went to, excuse me, I went to help him with JJ.
I'm going to object here. This is hearsay evidence that's coming in.
Your Honor, I haven't heard any hearsay yet.
Hadn't heard that yet either. Do we have water for the witness?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you needed any. I couldn't
do.
see if you had any down there, but feel free to take that and have that ready. All right. Objections overruled.
So, Ms. Woodcock, you had stated that you were in the process of saying that you were out there because Lori was gone.
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware of where Lori was?
No.
To your knowledge, was Charles aware of where Lori was?
No.
Okay. Did you see Lori at all while you were there?
No.
Okay. You stated you were there for a couple of weeks. Did you take JJ with you after that at all?
Yes, I brought him home to Louisiana with me. Charles needed to go to work, and we were ready to have him in Louisiana.
Okay. Approximately how long did you have him in Louisiana?
Probably a week, maybe two. We during that time frame, from like February 1st till the end of March, we were back and forth to Louisiana to Phoenix, to Louisiana to Phoenix with JJ. You know, just busy trying to help Charles get things squared away.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Did you mention a time frame in which you were going back and forth between Louisiana?
Yes, between February 1st of 2019 and all through the end of March of 2019.
Okay. Did you stop going to Arizona?
Yes,
Why was that?
because we moved Charles to Houston. Charles and JJ.
Okay. And when Charles and JJ moved to Houston, was Lori with them?
No.
Okay. Why did Charles move to Houston, to your knowledge?
So we could help him. Well, he didn't have any family in Arizona. It was all just her family. JJ needed good schools, which they had in Houston. We didn't really have any in Lake Charles. And Lake Charles is 2.5 hours from Houston. We would be able to, whenever Charles would go out of town, took up work. He was gone maybe 3 days when he would go to work. And that way I could be in Houston with JJ while Charles was gone, and he wouldn't be with a stranger, and I could get him back and forth to school and just take care of him while Charles would be working.
Okay. Approximately how far is it between Houston and Lake Charles, Louisiana?
150 miles.
Okay, so that's a drive that you can do.
Yeah, just straight down I-10.
Okay. And did you ever have occasion to go to Houston and stay with JJ while Charles was gone?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you do that?
There was once Charles moved there like March 31st of 2019, and he did need to get some work. He needed to go to work, so I went to Houston and stayed with JJ for probably 3 days, I think it was that time. And Charles went and did his work. JJ and we had a good time.
Okay. I'm just going to briefly ask you a few questions about Charles's business. What did he do?
He was a financial planner. He mostly sold annuities.
Okay. At any time, did you become involved in helping Charles with his business?
Yes.
When was that?
In February of 2019.
So in the same time period we've been discussing.
Yes.
Why did you start helping Charles with his business?
He asked me to help him out because he was very distraught with Lori, for one thing, for their separation. And he just needed help. I helped him with his payroll, his accounts payable, receivable. My husband, Larry, and I owned a business, so I was very familiar with the workings of a business or being self-employed. And so I did what I could to help him.
Okay. And so through this help, did you have access to Charles's banking information?
Yes.
Did you have access to his emails?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have access to other financial information?
Yes.
Okay. Did anything happen in April that changed the situation and arrangement you had with Charles?
Yes.
What was that?
Lori went to Houston, moved to Houston with Charles and JJ.
Okay. Can you state that again to be clear for the record?
Oh, Charles and Lori moved to Houston with Charles and JJ.
Okay. And you said that was sometime in April of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. After that, did you continue to see JJ in the Houston or Lake Charles area at all?
Oh, yes. Often.
Okay. How often?
Every weekend he would come, or every other weekend, just whenever he could get away, he would bring JJ, and they would come for the weekend, which we were more than happy to have them.
Okay. Did Lori stay in Houston? Are you aware if Lori stayed in Houston?
As in, like,
Did she stay? I apologize. Did she continue to live in Houston?
as far as I knew, she was go to Phoenix, and I don't know where else, but I don't know exactly what her travels were at the time. But I know Charles would come sometimes and say, well, Lori's gone this weekend, or, you know, she went to do this weekend. I don't remember the specifics.
Okay. Did she move from Houston?
Yes, in June of 19, Charles secured her a home in Chandler, which is a suburb of Phoenix.
Okay. And when Lori moved back to the Phoenix area, where was Charles staying at that time?
He wasn't staying there. He still had a home in Houston, but he when he would get a hotel.
Okay. At that time, to your knowledge, are you aware if Charles was intending to divorce Lori?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if he was ever able to finalize that divorce?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge, is Charles Vallow alive or deceased?
He's dead.
Do you know the date he died?
July 11th, 2019.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Charles Vallow have a life insurance policy?
Yes.
Did you ever have an occasion to speak with him about that policy?
Yes.
When was that?
In February of 2019, he approached me and said he wanted to name me the beneficiary. It was $1 million policy, and he wanted to name me beneficiary and take Lori off.
Okay. Did you ask him to name you as the beneficiary?
No.
Okay. During that conversation, did you commit to doing anything with that life insurance policy money if you were the beneficiary?
Yes.
What did you commit to do with that money?
To finish raising JJ because Lori didn't want him anymore.
And did you commit to doing anything else with that money?
Yes. He had asked me to give half of it to his 2 adult sons, which I did.
Okay. Did you ever have another conversation with Charles about that life insurance policy?
Another conversation. I can't remember at this moment. It might come to me in a minute. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But is it fair to say you don't remember having another conversation with him?
I don't remember right at this moment.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I do know
Yeah, it would be
that.
hearsay if she did have a conversation with him.
The existence of a conversation isn't hearsay.
All right, Mr. Wood, why don't you ask another question? There's a pending objection, but I don't know that this would be responsive to that, so if you'd re-ask.
Okay.
Oh, we've got another question that'll be
Okay.
posed before you can answer, sorry.
After Charles's death, did you receive the benefit of that life insurance policy?
Yes, it was unexpected because I never knew. I never followed up with Charles to see if he had changed me to his beneficiary. But yes, I did. Probably within a week of his death.
Okay. And how did you find out about that?
The insurance company called me.
Okay. Did Lori Vallow ever contact you about the life insurance policy?
Yes.
Do you know what number she texted you from? Or let me rephrase that. How did she contact you?
Through a text.
And do you recall what number she texted you from?
No.
Did you have her saved as a contact in your phone?
Yes, she actually had two numbers in my phone.
Okay. And do you know what those two numbers are?
Yes, can I have a paper with it on there?
Do you remember those numbers off of the top of your head?
No.
In anticipation of today, did you make a record of what those numbers were if you couldn't remember it?
Yes.
Would it refresh your memory to look at those numbers?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask, what kind of document did you prepare to see those numbers?
I just did a screen print and I have it on and made a copy.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be allowed to look at those documents to refresh her memory.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can go ahead and just indicate on the record what it is specifically you've looked at, and then after you've looked at that, put it away or turn it off if it's a device, and then we'll...
I have it right here.
Okay, some
copy.
printed papers, it appears. If you'll just look at those, and then once you've refreshed your recollection, set those aside, and then Mr. Wood will ask another question.
Do you want?
Have you had a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall the numbers you had stored in your phone for Lori?
Yes.
What was the first one?
480-489-4652.
And what was the second?
480-692-9562.
Thank you. And Mrs. Woodcock, do you recall the last time you saw J.J. Vallow in person?
Yes.
Where was that?
Lake Charles.
Do you recall when it was?
The weekend of May 17th. And I remember it vividly because we gave him a birthday party because his birthday was May 25th.
Okay. And did you, so you saw him at his birthday party?
Yes, and they spent
Where
the
was
weekend-
that?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Where was that?
At Mr. Gaddy's, a pizza place in town.
Okay. And then did he spend that, was it a weekend?
Yes, they spent the weekend with us, and we gave them the party on the Saturday, and then the Sunday afternoon they left to go back to Houston.
And that
Charles.
was, just to be clear, that was the last time you saw him in person?
Yes.
Okay. After the last time you saw him in person, did you ever have contact with him again?
I think we may have had a phone call or two when he was with Charles, yes, but
Okay.
that was about it.
All right. After Charles passed away on July 11th, did you ever have contact with him again?
Yes.
Tell me, do you remember how many times you had contact with JJ?
3 times.
Do you recall the first time you did?
Yes.
How did you have contact with him?
It was a FaceTime.
Okay. Do you recall when that was?
It was probably, let's see, June 11th, so probably around July 20th. Probably about a week or so after Charles's death.
Okay. Was there anything about that contact that stood out to you?
Yes.
What was that?
He normally had an iPad or a phone, and he would walk around and talk to Larry and me. And it was always so funny because he wouldn't hold the device to him. He would walk around and we'd see the ceiling in most of the places that they lived. But anyway, it was always funny. But yes, he would hold the iPad or the device